Hello dear students, welcome to my C language practical lab. In this tutorial, I describe function overloading and ambiguities occur when function overloading. Let's follow me. I create a program. Now I title it function overloading. Now I write basic program block as include as include conio.is void main clr scr get ch. Okay, it is basic program block. Now I choose add method which can be overloaded, and this method add two numbers. Now I write function prototype declaration void add void. It is a function, and another function is void add int. That is, one function carries no argument and another function carries two arguments. Now I define this function void add int a b. Being I want to add two numbers, so it needs to declare two variables, and it is a and b. Now I receive their values. Printf enter two values, two numbers. Scanf %d ampersand a and ampersand b. That is, you already received two variables. Now I print the sum of these two variables. So printf sum is equal to %d, and it will be replaced by a plus b. Okay, one function has defined, and now I define another function void add int m int n. Now I print sum of these m and n. Printf sum is equal to %d, and %d will be replaced by m plus n. It already define two functions, at having no argument and another method at having two arguments. Now I go to main method. I call these two methods. First I call add. Okay, and to call second method, it needs to pass two arguments, a and m and n. So I have to define two variables, int a and b. Now it's required to get two values for these two variables. So printf enter sum is equal to enter two numbers. Scanf %d ampersand a ampersand b. Now I call second add method. Add a b. Okay, program is completed. Now I save the program. Okay, now I compile it. Fine, there is no error. Now I run it. Enter two numbers. Suppose it is 10 and another is 15. So sum will be 25. It needs a new line here. Enter two numbers. Suppose one is 1 and second one is 5. So sum will be 6. Okay. Now I explain. Now I explain how they work. When this add method is called, then this code of block, this function will call, and these statements will be executed. When this add method is called, then this function will execute. Okay, how compiler decide which function will be called? Being this method having no argument, and in this method there is no argument, so this method called this function, and this method having two arguments called this method. Okay, why we called these two methods are being overloaded? In one method is separated from another method depends upon their argument or parameters. First method having no argument and second method having two arguments. In this regard, two methods are overloaded. Now I go next example, which will demonstrate the ambiguity on method overloading. Now I title the program Ambiguity. Of function overloading. Now I write basic block as include stdio.h as include punyo.h void main clr str get ch. Okay, now question is raised, what is ambiguity? This is a confusion of compiler when we call a function and function with same name occur more than 2 or 3 times. That means there are more than 2 functions having same name. Compiler can decide which function will be called, is called ambiguity. Function overloading depends upon their arguments, number of arguments and types of arguments. Ambiguity occur when first condition method overloading does not depend upon method's return type. If we return different kinds of function return type, the functions are not overloaded. First example, ambiguity occur due to return type. Now I define two methods, add void add int and another method int add int. Two methods, both methods have same name add. One method passing 2 arguments and another method is also passing 2 arguments, but different is there. One method return void and another method returns int. Now I define those functions. Void add int m int n, printf sum is equal to %d comma m plus n. Again I define another function int add int p comma int q. Being it returns integer, so I return p plus q. In this function, these two methods add they are not overloaded. Being function overloading does not depend upon their return type. Now I call first method. Being called first method, it needs to define two variables more, int a, b, printf, enter two numbers, scanf, %d, ampersand a, ampersand a, and ampersand b. Now I call first method, add a comma b, and next I call second method, so printf sum is equal to %d add a comma b. Okay, now I save this program. In this case, two methods are not overloaded. I compile it. Okay, 4 errors are there. Time mismatch in redeclaration of add int. That means two methods, compiler fallen in ambiguity problem. Compiler does not decipher between two add function, does not distinguish two add functions, that is they are same. Being function overloading does not depends upon their return type, so compiler treats those two functions are identical. This is called ambiguity of function overloading. It is case 1. Another more ambiguity is there. Depending upon their function overloading, ambiguity depending upon their data types. Now I go another example. I save this function in another name and title ambiguity occurs due to data type. In function overloading. Ambiguity occurs due to functions overloading. Now I mention I want to add two numbers. One is float and it is also float. And void, and another is double. double, it is also double. Now I declared two functions. One function passes two arguments and both are float data type, and another function passes two arguments and they are double data type. Now again I made the relevant changes in function definition. First add function, its data type is float and this is also float. So sum will be in float format. So I change %d by %f, and this method having no return type and its data type is double and it is also double. So result will be %f and p and q. These variables will be p plus q. Now I go to main method. Being two variables required, so I define int, rather int, it will be float. Enter two numbers, scanf %f %f ampersand a and b, and I call first add method. To call second method, it requires another two double data type variables. So I copy it and paste here and make changes as it is required. Data type will be double, rather AB, suppose it is C and D. So in scanf function it will be C and it is D. Now I call second function, so arguments will be C and another will be D. No need to this statement. In this program, ambiguity occurs, being function overloading does not distinguish float and double. In this program, compiler fallen in a problem, that is, depending upon their data values, compiler can decipher which function will be called, either this or this. I compile this program. Okay. Multi-declaration of D. Okay. C and another is D. Okay. Now again compile it. Now enter two numbers. One is 1.2 and another is 2.3. Output will be this. Enter two numbers, one is 1 and another is 2. Output will be 0.0. That is, it output is error. It does not satisfy our program, our needs. This kind of ambiguity is known as ambiguity due to their data types. Okay. In this tutorial, I discussed function overloading and ambiguity due to function overloading. This tutorial is just end, so I close it.